In this video I will show you what problems are with my Volkswagen Polo 9N, Volkswagen Polo Mark IV from 2003, 2002, 2003 until later 2005 or 2009. And the main thing, the tail light, one of the tail lights is rattling a bit. I had to change the light bulbs a few times. Some of the struts at the back, they might be feeling a bit, they might have a damage on the casing on them, but I didn't have to replace them, so that's pretty good. The exterior of the car, it's pretty good. It feels really solid. I mean, it feels like a more heavy car, like a bigger car. The doors are really solid, but first thing was this trim here, it came out, and then there are problems with the cracks on the handle of the doors on both sides. This car has manual windows even on the front, but that's not a bad thing. I had to install central locking. It didn't have central locking even, so that's a big problem. If you get a car without central locking, you want it with central locking, because it's recent years it's more convenient. On the dashboard I had to change the speaker on it because it was not working. I took out the dashboard and I actually just used the headphone speaker. That was pretty nice. Unfortunately there was no video about that. The chair has a few holes in this seat, in the chair seat, and there is a piece of metal coming through. I don't know why it's doing this. The sponge was moving a bit. We use this car a lot. It's a pretty old car, and even there is a piece of metal wire coming out from this here, which is a bit suspicious. Another problem I had was with the gear shift knob. The cap there came out. It's not really a big deal. I also changed the cover, this jacket of it, I don't know exactly, guide there, I'm thinking it's called. The aircon flaps, one of them is the handle is a bit broken, so yeah, I had to change the car radio. It was an old one, so I upgraded it. I had problems with the aircon blower fan, heater blower fan. I changed it a few times. The door handle on the other side also I used tape to fix it. Installed some sunglasses holders. The chair arms, the backrest were, I mean, they are really good. Never had a problem with them. The radio antenna also, it's just a radio antenna. I had to install an amplifier for the radio though. That was all behind the radio head unit. The back doors also feels very solid. Not much space at the back here. Unfortunately, this is a bit of a problem with this car. There's not much space at all at the back. But yeah, if you get used to it, I guess it's not too bad, but it's not great also. And these rubber gaskets, never had any problems with them, but I guess it depends on where you live. The weather conditions are not very extreme here, so that shouldn't be a problem. Doors feel pretty solid when they close and open. Yeah, it's the doors, they feel fine. Unfortunately, it's not automatic central locking for the boot. It's with the key. This is hydraulics. They break all the time. These holders for the shelf of the boot, really, they always break. I put them back with super glue, but we removed the shelf for a while, so okay. These are really easy to replace. It's just one screw on each side. And yeah, the electrical connector didn't have any issues. I didn't have to, but it makes noises with the hinges, so the hinges needs to be oiled. And these things, that's the leftover glue from this plastic knob, I don't know how to call it. It keeps the shelf up. It's really important to lift the shelf when you open the door. Under here there is the spare wheel, and under the spare wheel there are a few rubber gaskets that go outside to the exterior, and those are really worn out and broken, some of them. The locking, I never had an issue with it, but it's a bit high, so you have to lift a bag if you're going to put it like a suitcase for an airplane. Good news is that the biggest suitcase I have fits perfectly in the boot of the car, so that's really great. The wheels, you always have to change the wheels anyway when they get worn out, but the struts inside in the car, the strut is not bad because I checked the bouncing of the wheel of the car, but this cover of it is broken, so I guess at some point the oil will come out and then they will not be able to absorb the shock as they should. I had to change the wiper blades many times. I just changed the blade, I don't change the whole wiper, just the rubber part, which is great. It's much cheaper like this. And windshield, it's pretty good. Didn't have to do anything with it, really. And the dashboard makes a few cracking noises sometimes. When it goes between winter and summer and the other way around, you might hear some noises. And let's go to the engine zone. Yeah, this is the heavy stuff. But before that, the signature of this car is these round headlights. They work pretty well. One of them has a few issues, a bit hazy, cloudy. The other one it's okay, so probably someone changed it before I bought it. I didn't get this car new, I got it used. Yeah, the one on the left is much clearer than the one on the right. And I use some clarifying solution. Maybe I didn't do it right on the right one. That's the ECU. Unfortunately, one time I thought to check it, to look at it, and I broke the clips, but I used just cable ties, really plastic ties, battery, the water, wiper blade water, and that's the oil for the it's for the steering wheel. The strut, that's the engine.
Oil change.
I did oil change, EGR valve, I replaced it. I also cleaned the throttle body with the carb spray, also the connector of the throttle body when there was an issue, a pretty serious EPC issue. Also the master cylinder, the slave cylinder here of the clutch slave cylinder, I replaced it here. The boot in the CV join, I think it's called the CV join, the thing that takes power to the wheels, it was broken, so I took it to someone to replace that. The belt, the alternator, I took it to a mechanic to fix the alternator. He refurbished it and it's still working perfectly since then. Never had any issues with the AC compressor. Only one time I had to refill this refrigerant in the AC and it wasn't much missing from it, so the AC is pretty good. But the fans, yeah, that's the AC fan. Second fan is the motor, the main cooler fan, engine, radiator, but both fans, they had problems when they're not working. The coolant, the lights, this is where you change the lights. Only one time I had to change the lights, so these are the headlights, so that's not bad. Coolant level I had to change, and the fuel line, one fuel line it had.
Spark plugs inside.
Ignition coils, I have to change all the ignition coils and spark plugs as usual. Yeah,
Change
this expansion container I changed it, and also the cap on it.
also
Yeah, the radiator also leaks sometimes. I used a bit of radiator leaking stop solution, but very little, and it did something well. I mean, it's not leaking. That's the radiator. I did flush the radiator a few times. The motor for the wiper blades, it had an issue when it wasn't working well. I put a clip on it. It was a small fix and it's working so far okay. It was important, I showed you earlier, the brake fluid, you should check that to make sure it's always okay. I never had problems with the brakes to lose brakes or see that there is any leak of brake fluid, which is great. Yeah, this is the small engine 1.2 AZQ, Volkswagen, Skoda 1.2, 3 cylinders. And yeah, those lights, they might stop working, so it's good to change all the lights when they don't work, so you have good visibility. People behind you driving, they know when you want to stop or turn left or right. And the brakes, I didn't change the brake pads. I rarely use the brakes. Usually I just slow down with the engine. Don't know if it's that good or not. Write in the comments below what do you think. It's a manual car, so if it was automatic I would probably have to change the brakes very often. Manual car, you can control it a bit more and use the engine friction to reduce speed. Yeah, the main problem on this car is the space, really. It's a small car. That's why it doesn't consume much fuel on the highway especially, but at the same time it's good to have a bit more space, especially at the back of the car. Still, it's a good car. I really like it. It's my car. I enjoy it. Thanks for watching.